Hi, good evening. Hello, beautiful and lovelies. We are, actually, I've been called to just kind of check in with everybody, see how you're doing, and explain a little bit of what is going on collectively and individually. And what I wanted to explain is that we actually are creating more light, not only within ourselves, and light, again, is always consciousness and awareness. Hello, Dolores. It's consciousness and awareness. And we're doing it on an individual basis, but we're also doing it on a collective basis. So this week has been, things are progressively wrapping up, but this month has been a big focus on relationships. And you may have noticed, besides maybe some physical stuff, you may have noticed relationships being highlighted. Some are having an increase in a wonderful relationship. Some are having, that'd be like a really extreme, like, oh my gosh, this is the best time of my whole life. My relationships have never been better, have more time. We're reconnecting in a different way. Families are blossoming. And the other extreme are people are having a very, very tough time in relationships, either with relationships with themselves, relationships with others, relationships with the systems that are in place around them. And then that extends to the rest of the world, correct? And what's happening is, I'm just going to take a breath here and see how it's, just let it all come in tonight. Let's take a deep breath. But what's happening is we are doing the individual work so that the collective can be in a different place. And we are all over the place. And each experience that we experience is divinely in alignment with ourselves of what we want to understand and what we want to experience. So tonight I want to talk about a couple things: choices, responsibility, and what it is that we're actually bringing into the light. By bringing into the light, I mean we're exposing things, we're allowing things to be understood, to blossom, to come to the surface in a way that perhaps we have not been brave enough, strong enough, aware enough to allow happen. And in a personal way, you will see that coming up because the things that are unpleasant within yourself will be coming forward for you. And that can come in all kinds of ways. Blaming other people, being irritated, gossiping more, being angry, crying a lot, right? They're all things within our system that want I'm just listening for the best way to make it the most relatable, and not get too far and maybe into the energy or the consciousness. We will talk about that, but I want you to understand that, okay, so I got it. So most of us have been on some type of a healing journey, some type of self-discovery, some type of an awareness where we want life to be better than it has been in the past, right? And in order to do that, you have to look at the ugly side of life. Plain and simple. You have to look at things that are no longer working. And then you have to figure out a way, then you have a choice. Is this something I still want to participate in? Or am I strong enough? Am I brave enough? And am I okay with the change to allow things to happen? Right? And so on an individual basis, we have the decision of how do I want to react to behave today? And again, there's no right or wrong. It's just an awareness piece. And then on the bigger collective piece is we have had many things in our societies that have not been working. We've had many things for the last, I guess we're going to go a little bit deeper today. We have many things right in front of our face that we allow, that we're okay with, that we can turn a cheek to. I want you to take a moment and think of, I thought we were going to talk about the individual tonight. It looks like we're going to talk a little bit more expansively, and then maybe we'll bring it back to the individual. But think about think about maybe something distasteful that you know occurs, and either if you're powerless to help or transform, or it's just easier to ignore, right? That's what's happening on a collective stage. We're bringing out all the ugly, right? And we're going to love all the ugly. We're going to have great compassion for all the ugly. We just know that the energy that supported manipulation, control, deceit, things that really don't serve humanity, we're not allowing that anymore. But first we have to clear it up within ourselves, right? First we have to clear up in ourselves what is not working, what we haven't been paying attention to, what has not been our highest self, what has not honored us in our highest way. It's really, I want you all to remember that we all are these amazing energetic beings in a physical body. We have chosen to be in a physical body. We have chosen to be here in this moment, this exact moment of time, in this exact space, exactly what you're doing now. You have chosen to be part of this great, great, great transformation that is happening on the planet right now. It is no wonder that it's a global virus, that it's a global pandemic, that it's giving everybody the opportunity to slow down, right? And for some people, it's not a slowdown. For some people, it's causing more angst. It's causing, maybe you're working more hours to kind of keep things going. Maybe you're not, things may not be pleasant, right? Our job is to clean ourselves up. Our job is to do our healing work. Our job is to look at what is not working. And the more we do that, this is your job. This is your responsibility. This is why you're here. If listening to this now, you have some awareness. You have some awareness that you're strong enough and you're brave enough and you've done the work, you've done your own stuff, that you can now hold a place for humanity. Perhaps a common story would be someone gets divorced and the spouse either didn't love them, fell out of love, was spending time with someone else, right? Many instances were divorced. And if you are awakened and aware and you want to know the truth, that can't happen. It does happen. And there's nothing wrong with it happening. But you've allowed yourself on some level not to see what's really there. Right? And that's okay. But when the person comes in and they ask a divorce, your world falls apart. You wonder what the heck happened. I thought we were going along so happily. Right? But if you take a step back and you start doing some inner work, you start healing, you realize, oh my gosh, there were signs. There's something I could have done differently myself. I made a choice to stay in a marriage where we weren't understanding each other in the same way. I made a choice to stay in a marriage where something had shifted and I'm not sure what it was, right? There's many, many examples I could give. Just let me know if this is making sense to you, because I do have a bit of a habit going bigger and then coming smaller, and I just, whenever I show up for you, I do my best and I connect with Source to bring the information that's the highest and best for you at this time. And because we have different consciousness listening in this present moment to now, or listening in the future, I do my best to make it the most relatable. Okay? So in this moment of now, in this present time, we're given this opportunity to change what no longer works in our lives, right? And then to see what does. Thank you, Rita. And then on a global scale, we're also doing that. So for those of you and it's every single one of you, understand what peace and calm is. You understand what that, I can handle this. I'm strong. I've been through a lot. Have compassion for myself and others. Right? You may be called, we're going to be called upon in the next weeks or months or years as we see systems, less than years, we see systems breaking down, as we see people that maybe we looked highly upon coming into the light. And the only way you come into the light is if you've been in the shadows. Okay? So it's your responsibility to hold that space of peace and calm. Right? And it's happening now, in this moment, because we have enough love and light and a higher consciousness on this planet that things can start to change. And we've all asked collectively that things change in a big way. And the only way things can change in a big way is we start to see what's right in front of our face that we ignore. On a bigger scale, I don't like it that children go to bed hungry, right? I don't like it that there's not clean drinking water for everybody. There's a lot of things in society that we feel powerless to change, and we feel like we have no say in it, and it's okay to just kind of look away from it. And that's okay. We've not been a place where we felt like we could really bring much change to things. Now is the time. Now is the time to start creating change. And you do that by creating change for yourself. And the more you understand yourself, the more you clear your shadow side, the more you clear things that don't make sense to you, that cause you heartache, the more you're able to create a higher consciousness so that we don't have children go on bed hungry, that we have clean water for everybody. This is a tremendous planet. We have all the resources. We have more intelligent life. We have so much intelligent life, creative ideas, right? But somewhere, some way, there's someone making decisions for us that these things aren't possible. If you take a step back, these things are all possible. Ask yourself, why have we allowed other people to make big decisions for us? Why do we think someone else has a better answer than us? And as I'm saying this, include me in that. I've worked with a lot of you. I've earned your respect. I've earned your trust. And I'm so grateful for that. But what I tell you has to make sense to you. It has to come through your own filter. Is this making sense to me at this time? If it's not, let it go. But we're being called upon to see things as they truly are. And as we see that, we find a sense of peace. It's not an immediate sense of peace, right? It's not immediate that you don't go there. There's some tough things you have to go through. But things, please know, and if you've done the work, if you've been doing the healing, if you've been doing the self-discovery, and we all have varying degrees of healing. Some didn't come into this life with a lot to heal. Some didn't have life experience where there's lots of trauma. Most of us have stuff to heal because that's what we're doing. We're healing collective grief, pain, sorrow, suffering. We're healing. We're not tolerating the manipulation, control, the enslavement, we're taking off the veils. It doesn't work for us anymore. Okay? So in order to do that, we have to do ourselves first. I just lost my train of thought there for a minute. So because enough of us have done the work, because enough of us have a higher consciousness, a higher vibration, a greater frequency, we have the ability to expand our love, our compassion, our wisdom. not only within ourselves, but without ourselves. We have a lot of people on the planet doing this work. You know, off the top of my head, there's, you know, there's help out there. There's, I can't even bring the name up, sorry. But there's people that are helping you maybe have less judgment, how to be happier, how to have a more fulfilling life, right? It's no mistake that this is happening in this moment to now. Okay? So we have more consciousness, and as you're more conscious, we're able to handle the change. And there's tremendous change coming. There's tremendous change coming. It is us to up. It is us to us to make sure that it's done in the most compassionate, the most loving way. And look around you. On this coronavirus, people have all different opinions. None of them are wrong. None of them are wrong. Everybody behaves and thinks the way they do because of their life experience. There are people that say this isn't real. There are people that say this is the end of the world. There are people afraid to see each other's families, right? There's nothing wrong. It's just consciousness. And then you get to decide, where am I in that consciousness? But know, please know, that this experience is for the greater good. For those who are getting really, really sick, it is to allow the body, the soul, the memories to start expunging that which no longer serves them. Our body, our organs hold memories. We have imprints within us. We can't change the world if we don't change ourselves. Okay. I can take questions if anybody has any questions about what we've talked about for a little bit, or anything that's not making sense perhaps, and what's personally going on. I may have missed a beat or two because I don't take notes. This is something I've been trying to get out all week. Every time I go to sit down, either the equipment doesn't work, the message changes. I guess this is just the right time. Because April's been a big month energetically, and the supportive energy is here, right? So what I encourage you to do is get to know yourself. Find some kind of practice. Find that quietness within yourself. Doesn't have to be all day. Just find that place within yourself where you can hear your highest self. Talk to your support team, your angels, your guides, they're light beings, right? They're within you. They're all around us. Doesn't matter if you believe in them or not. Doesn't matter if you feel them or not, sense them or not. They're there. It's oxygen. They're there. But if you can't breathe, you need to ask for an oxygen mask. If you can't breathe, if you can't navigate life the way you want right now, ask for help, because it's there. And then we have a question from Julian. How do you protect the peace and calm you're trying to walk in? And it's a bit of a grammatic choice. You know, I'm gonna pick it apart a little bit. You don't need to protect it, honey. You need to love it. Just increase it, and just say this, right? And I know what you mean by protecting it. How do we not let anybody else change it, right? I'm in a nice, peaceful place. Somebody comes in and they say something or do something or watch something. My peace is gone. That's just an awareness that you're not being responsible for your consciousness and your energy. And that is not, believe me, that is not, I don't mean that to be harsh or derogatory or critical, right? Because we're all there. But if I'm truly in a place of peace and calm, it doesn't matter what's around me. It does not. And I don't always have that place of peace and calm where things don't get to me, but I'm getting better at it. And the first step is actually noticing, right? Personally, for me, it might be, man, I'm having a great day. Hubby walks in the door, or blah, 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 or the kids, and it's like, right? That's not on them. That's on me. That's totally on me. So how do you protect? How do you love the peace and calm? And don't say, Julian, it feels like it's just words, but they're not. You're not trying to walk in it. You are walking in it. If you spend a millisecond of your day in the moment to now and you feel peaceful and calm, you are doing it. And then you're like, good, I got it. I know how to do this. Tomorrow I'm going to go 3 seconds. I'm going to go 3 minutes. I'm going to go 3 hours, 3 days. You just keep being aware. You say, this works for me. Give me some more. And you know what will happen? It's not a challenge, but because you are intentionally creating a place within your being of peace and calm, compassion and love for yourself, you will be given opportunity to increase it. The opportunities will come through things that annoy you, things that upset you, right? And there's 2 ways of looking at this. One, you can, I want you to look at what really serves you. A lot of what's causing a lot of agitation for people is the news, other people's opinions, and Facebook or social media. And I realize I'm on social media right now, and I appreciate you being here. But for me, I realized that was causing me to kind of get into the energy of people, of what they were feeling, and that angst and that all that negativity and all that, just a lot of divisiveness, right? So because I'm an empath and I feel things, I had to make a decision. Does this serve me to get information that's not helpful to me and I don't really honestly care that much about? It is better service for me to stay in my peace and calm. Anything I need to know, I guarantee and I trust will be brought to me. I don't need to follow. That's not my place and my role. Does that make sense, Jolene? If it doesn't, let me know. And then Dom, with these changes coming in, could be why I've been so exhausted. Absolutely. So sleep, eat, drink water, dance, because what we're doing is we're taking our higher self and we're connected to our earth body. And there's this big divide, this gigantic divide. And as you create more consciousness within the physical body, and actually consciousness in the physical body can come out as fatigue because we're going through rebirthing. We are in a gestational period right now. So when you're creating new life, thanks honey, thanks Jolene. When you're creating new life, you will be tired. Okay, good. We got disconnected there for just a minute. But when you're creating new life, creating new consciousness, you will get very tired as you start the creation. And we've been starting this creation for a very long time. So if some of you think I've been tired for a long time, stay with it, right? And then you get a period of lots of energy, and then you're gonna get tired again. And we're gonna keep rebirthing and keep recreating what's our next best thing, right? So go with the fatigue, and do a self-check. Is there anything my body's missing? Right now, a tremendous amount of us are missing, our minerals are way, way out of balance. So there's something called tonic, it's trace minerals. It comes in a blue bottle with white lettering. That's really important to make sure your minerals are in place, right? Because, when you're planting a farm field, the soil gets diminished over time. Our body, because we've been working so hard physically to get our bodies to match our new consciousness, because you are in a new consciousness. Whether you realize it or not, you are definitely in a new consciousness. This planet's in a new consciousness. We have never, ever, ever had this much light. And by light, I mean awareness and love than we are experiencing right now. It's just going to keep increasing. But in order for it to kind of reach a plateau and then get to the next level and the next level, you have to eliminate the shadow. You have to eliminate what doesn't work. And the best way to eliminate it is recognize it and love it. When you recognize it in someone else, you love them. Because if somebody's losing their shit, I can guarantee you they need more love and compassion, right? Somebody's making poor decisions, they need more love and compassion. Okay, and I know you all are up for that. Lori, I was pretty crabby about being required to wear a mask at work. I don't like being told what to do. Yeah, I hate, right, Lori? I hate being told what to do. You know what used to make me, like, you'd come to a stop sign or a stop sign, someone told you to do. Once I kind of got through most of that, and it's still a little bit there, I would just get crabby because someone told me to go first, and I'm like, no, I know how to drive a car. So like really dumb things, that's the dumb things come out at the end. So Lori, for you, it's your choice, your decision. How do you want to respond to be told to wear a mask? So first it's awareness. I don't like being told what to do. And then why don't you like being told what to do? Is it because you're obstinate and stubborn? You think you're the smartest person in the room? Or is it because I know my own wisdom and I trust my own wisdom? See, that's two different things. And then can you go a step further? And I may not like wearing a mask. For me, I don't feel it's necessary for whatever reason. But I know who's asking me to wear one. They are in such fear that they need the compassion, they need the safety of me doing what they think is best. That's your choice. You can accommodate that, or you can just say, I'm fine not doing that, right? And then of course there's consequences, right? Depending on where you work, what follows up. But even, the old way of doing things is forcing people to look at their stuff. I'm not going to wear a mask. I'm not going to do what you tell me to do. And they're going to have to kind of have a negative response, right? That's the old way of doing things. And people still have to go through the negative responses. But how do we get this shift moved quicker? Is send them love. Honey, I know you're scared. I know you're a rule follower. I know you want to do the right thing. Right? That feels better. That's a higher consciousness, that's a higher vibration. So it's just choice. There is nothing wrong with anything we do. But I know me personally, and I believe for people that are listening, you want the higher consciousness choice. And know that you're gonna, dip up and down into higher consciousness. That's fine. We're learning how to hold a higher consciousness. And we have volunteered to hold our higher consciousness before some others. So that said it's done in the gentlest, kindest, most compassionate way possible. Because some things that are going to come to the forefront are not going to be pleasant, right? And I'll go further into that in a minute. And then Stacy has recommend Mintran. I believe it's minerals. Sleep so good. Absolutely. Magnesium helps sleep. So whatever, that's perfect. The minerals are just really out of whack right now. So do that. Perfect, Stacey, I like that. Is this making sense to everybody? Is there anything you want me to explain a little bit deeper? I'm just listening a little bit. And again, it's love to the best of your ability, and it increases every single day. Love yourself. Take time out when you need it. Get in the habit of listening to yourself, finding what's truthful. And the easiest way to find out what's truthful within your own being is what feels good, what feels right. If you're getting irritated and crabby, you need to just check in. I'm irritated and crabby. Am I crying because I'm resisting something? Or because I'm allowing something to come up so that I can actually look it in the eye and decide what to do with it? I always say, give it a kiss and send it on its way. And sometimes you have to kiss it 100 times before you can send it on its way. Okay. But again, I just wanted to touch base with everybody, let you know that we are bringing things into the light. On a collective level, we're bringing things into light that may be surprising or upsetting. Just understand that this is the right time. We're capable, we're strong enough. The energies that support the old way of being things no longer exist on the planet. I've mentioned before, it's like turning off the, if you turn off the fan in the ceiling fan, the blades may still rotate, but there's no electricity going to it. So that's what's happening. We don't have the energies, we don't have the consciousness to support manipulation control anymore. And also even whether, I think Sarah's going to expand on something, even if it looks like somebody's doing something that doesn't look right to you or doesn't look, looks horrible, from their perspective, it's the right thing to do. What we're doing is we're changing the consciousness that allows a perspective that's harmful to another. And then Taylor, I keep waking up in the middle of the night. Is that related to the tiredness going on right now? Yeah, and what you've been doing, honey, is you just, you've been waking up in the middle of the night. You've been getting a lot of, you might call them visitations from your higher self. You're getting, and this is another thing that may be happening to people, you're going into a deeper dream state. Your dreams are getting vivid, or again, it's kind of all over. You may not having any dreams at all. But Taylor, for you specifically, and it'll probably be true for other people, in the middle of the night, you're getting some inspiration. You're getting some, the consciousness of you, Taylor, is becoming higher and higher, and your body's trying to keep up with it. So in the middle of the night, you're waking up just to check on things. Is everything still okay? Am I still on track? Is my body following along with my consciousness? And then you kind of go back to sleep. But hopefully you're going back to sleep. But the bodies are going through tremendous, tremendous change, just as the consciousness is. And the consciousness, you can interchange the word soul or oversoul, if that makes sense to you. But again, we're going through a gestational period. So as you bring more light into the body, you're going to have a lot of, perfect, honey. Yep. As you bring more light into the body, the density, right, that's in the density that's in the body, the crystalline, not crystalline as far as high vibration, but crystal, almost like crystals in the urine. It's in the body. The dense energy, the thoughts, beliefs, the behaviors, the actions we've had are stuck in the joints, it's stuck in the tendons. They're just stuck, right? So the more you hold that place of love and compassion for yourself, the easier, again, I can't say easier, we have to really, really watch the words I use, because there's not just one way for everybody. This is not a cookie cutter experience. This is an individual experience to bring higher consciousness to yourself and to the entire planet. So I'm doing my best to give it the most broad examples and the most perhaps generic experiences you may be experiencing. Some people aren't having that many body issues right now, but most likely you will, unless you're not even awake at all and we do all the work for you. But and that's not true either, but we're doing a lot of work for other people that just aren't able to right now. Terry has a big problem getting to sleep even when I'm tired. Your mind's just constantly, so I'm just looking, Terry, like, it's basically fear, honey. You're afraid if you go to sleep, the truth will come out. You're afraid if you go to sleep, you're gonna have to look at some stuff that you haven't wanted to look at, and I know you've done a lot of looking, honey. But your biggest fear is that you're gonna find out that you knew all along what was best for you and didn't follow your own wisdom. Because when you get into a sleep state, your higher consciousness comes in, your subconscious mind comes in. So for you, Tara, it might be really good to kind of look that in the eye. You know that at that time you did the best you could. It made the absolute most sense at that time. And honestly did make the most sense for your life. So in this moment to now, you can do differently. And know that you can handle the truth. because you've already been given the truth. You've already been given the worst truth. It feels to you like the worst truth is that you didn't do something that you knew was in your best interest. So you forgive yourself and you love yourself. Then Rita, you've been having perfect. Yep, perfect, Harry. Thank you. Rita's been having headaches and stomach issues. Can't figure out why. Absolutely, this is it. So this, the stomach issue is what you're digesting, right? It's what you're digesting subconsciously, consciously. Again, we have a lot of empaths on the panel tonight, and you're taking in. I'm not saying it's wrong either, right? But you're taking in. Basically, you're doing a lot of work for your family. Just cut to the chase. You're doing a lot of work for your family. So loving and kind and supportive, but you get to decide, is that what's best for them, right? And I never ever say it's wrong to do something for somebody else. Never. But you know them the best, and you know yourself the best. Is this the best way you want to support them? And do they get what they need from an experience? If you're taking, now this is an extreme example. What I just heard is, if a parent goes to jail for the child, that doesn't cause the child heartache, right? Perhaps. Or it doesn't cause more harm, perhaps. But the value of the experience may be lost on the child. That's extreme, I know, but that's what came to mind. And then for Jolene, her youngest doesn't want to sleep by herself and has nightly terrors. Yeah, so your youngest is actually seeing the timelines coming through. Your youngest is very, very evolved. We're all evolved souls, or we wouldn't be here. But she's got a pretty good memory, and she's seeing what's occurred. And it may come through in her youngster mind and visions of what it could be in her age group, what's appropriate. But she's actually seeing, it's almost like a life review, what has not worked for humanity. And she's also looking at herself, what's not worked and what am I not going to bring forward. So what would be the most helpful for her is before she goes to bed, and I'm not saying you're not doing this, but maybe do a little bit more of it if you're, increase it. Just, honey, you are so loved. You are so safe here, and that there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can say that's wrong. Jolene, I kind of need to know how old she is. I don't remember. That might help me get a better hit on what would be the most helpful for her. Because she presents at about 12. I just want to make sure I got the right age there. And then Brenda, you've had a big increase in body aches and fatigue. And then Laura also says her body's been really aching. And Stacy said, so I'm going to answer Laura and Brenda at the same time, and probably help everybody else too. So yes, absolutely, the aches and pains are absolutely part of the ascension process, the awakening process. Support it every way you can physically, right? We don't want to leave the physical part of help out of the equation, but also do it energetically. And one thing you can do is, one thing we're really being called to right now is to stretch the body, because we are stretching our imagination into, wow, this wonderful place we can exist in, but we're stretching the consciousness instead of this really confined, limited space that we've been living in, into this really our soul self, where all things are possible, and where we're choosing to now go into a place of love and compassion and peace. So the body is having a hard time catching up with that. So if you can do physical stretches, some yoga stretches, things like that, it's that tightness in the body. That you can also, get into just that quiet moment. And I'm hearing, sometimes you can just ask, well, why is my elbow hurt? But I'm hearing for you guys, what's my heartache? What's the heartache that has not been healed? And you start looking for those answers and start healing that heartache, and pretty quickly your body's going to catch up with you. And you're not going to have the heartache. But right now it needs a little bit of physical support too. That makes sense. I hear that makes sense. So but it is part of, we've got to get more light into the body. We have to get light more, it's actually like more light molecules, right? That's what the sun does for us too. It brings more light, energy into the physical body. And now we're just expanding into the cells, into the bone structure, into every part of our being. We're actually bringing in more consciousness. And to do that, you have to push out you have to push the dark out. And by dark, I don't mean evil or anything like that. It's just that which no longer serves you. We change beliefs as we mature. We're maturing consciousness. Interesting occurrence yesterday. I'm just looking at Stacy real quick. Okay, so Stacy is a tremendous empath, an uber empath, and her daughter had a pain in her hand that hurt terribly, almost like a clot, and then kind of happened for both of them for about an hour. Opposite hands, like Stacy, the mom, might have had it in the right hand, and the daughter had it in the left hand. Swelling in the palms, exact same pattern. Stacy, that's kind of a... Is it possible for you to understand what your daughter's going through? Is it possible to you to support, love, and nurture her for whatever she's going through without actually being part of the experience? Right? And all you do is you start saying, that's possible? Not possible. Is it what I want to do? Is this my best definition of mothering? That I want to mirror everything she's doing? Because eventually she's going to go beyond what you're doing, and then you're going to kind of be left in the dust, right? That's a choice. That's a possibility. And if your choice is, I don't need to actually physically have her pain to understand what she's going through. For instance, if she breaks up with a boyfriend, has a heartache, or gets a D in school, or whatever the situation would be, you don't actually have to have a breakup to understand what she's going through. You don't have to get fired from work or fail at work to understand that she's failing in school, whatever the situation is. It's a choice. Right? But it's a pattern of yours. It's a behavior of yours that you've had for a very, very long time. It's not wrong. It's worked beautifully, and it's worked really well in past instances, just like what I want to do with it now. So when you acknowledge it and you recognize it, and I'm just going to go forward assuming that you don't want to do this anymore. If you don't, then this information is for somebody else. If you don't want to go forward, you just say, I am breaking the habit, and I am asking for help, breaking the habit of taking on someone else's pain. I am wise enough to understand it. I am supportive enough. I can love her through this without actually experiencing it. And then you just, for Stacy, you're pretty visual. So it looks like you just kind of as you say it, you're making a separation there. And it's not a separation. Remember, I love her enough. This bright, beautiful soul who came in to experience a full life and experience transformation the same way as me. I love her. I trust her. And I trust me that I have all my wisdom, that I can access my wisdom, and I have the same trust for her. So you may be better served in asking questions for her, helping her through it, but not taking on the physical pain. But that's another support system we've had in place. It's also a bit of self-punishment. It comes from the karmic cycle. What did I not understand about something when it happened to me in the moment to now, that I now need to experience it through someone else's experience? So again, it's about choice, awareness, and understanding. I just want to make sure I'm getting everything here, so I'm going to go up a little bit. And then, so Jolene, I'm going to get back to your daughter in a minute. Laura says the body's been electrical feeling. You're turning stuff on too. So the electrical charges is you're becoming more aware of your higher self. You're activating the probability within your human form. You are burning off parts that no longer serve you in the physical body. But the electrical feeling is you're being ignited. You're being turned on. It's like literally you're being turned on. It's a wonderful thing. It doesn't feel like it's, it's growing pains. The body aches, it's just growing pains. So stretching, helps a lot. The minerals, we need to expand the physical form, ballet, yoga, stretching, just like we're expanding the consciousness. You can't do one without the other. That's the cool thing. Many times people expand their consciousness, they're not in a physical body. We are doing it together. We are taking the body with us into a higher consciousness, right? So you have to give the body a lot of support. Then Denise, does how we experience this determine the extent of the positivity or greater the change on the planet? Oh, perfect question. That's probably something I meant to get back to and I forgot. So Denise, you always know how to bring me back to center. But yes, absolutely. How we experience this creates a bigger field, creates more of the same. So that's why it's so important to be aware of what we're doing, make the choice that's in your highest and best good. And if it's in the highest best good for you, it's also in the highest and best good for someone else. I have to get a glass of water. It's also the highest best good of someone else. So if you have positivity, if you have peace, calm, if you have love, you know what? If you can send love where it doesn't exist or doesn't seem to exist, that's the beauty of this experience. If you have a seed in the ground that's trying desperately, it's in cracked dirt, cloudy day, no sunshine, or perhaps it's in the basement, a seed, a beautiful, beautiful plant that wants to bloom, has no support, no love, no sunshine, no water, no nutrients. It's going to have a really tough time coming through that dirt. So everything we do impacts, empowers. Let me back that up a little bit. Everything we do impacts another person. Everything. If I tell you I don't like you, that hits you and impacts you. And then that has an impact on how you relate to other people. All right? If you're that enough, that impacts how you feel about yourself. It impacts how you behave. If I tell you I love you, I'm so happy that you're here. You're a delight. That impacts how you feel about yourself. It impacts how you relate to the rest of the world. So it is our responsibility to expand that which is in our highest and best good. And we're all at different, it's not really levels, but we're all at different points of awareness. We're all different consciousness. Some days it's going to be really easy to love that which is not what we deem not lovable. And other days it's going to be piece of cake. But you start with yourself first and expand out. So what I want to encourage you to start thinking in these terms. Are you choosing that your thoughts, your vibrations, the way you relate to yourself and relate to the world, is that a place where you impact, empower, and enlighten not only yourself, but all those you come into contact with? You do that. It's just a choice. Do I want to enlighten somebody or want to bring them down? Do I want to enlighten myself? Do I want to be my own cheerleader? I want to continue the self-judgment and self-hatred, or maybe just the self-neglect, right? This is all about awareness. All about awareness. You can't do it wrong. If you're here, you're aware. You know there's something more. There's something beyond what you already have. Then I just want to get back to Jolene, who's 6. Her daughter's 6. And like I said, she presents to me like she's 12. So she's very aware of what goes on around her. I would be very strict on what comes into her consciousness. I would not have any news. I would not have news on. If somebody in your house needs to watch news, they need to do it in the garage or outside or at work. I'd be very careful of how you talk about other people in front of her or how you talk about yourself in front of her. And I'm not saying, that you're a nasty person or anything, but we just have a habit sometimes of saying, oh, that person irritated me, or boy, that mom doesn't do things right, or whatever the case may be, or, a client didn't pay me on time or whatever. She absorbs everything. And she doesn't absorb it through hearing. She absorbs it through vibration. She absorbs it through the energy. And throughout the day, she can run on a plane. She can make it work. You go to sleep at night. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. And I have all this information. I don't know how to process. I don't know what to do with it. Even the TV shows she watches, the cartoons she watches, this kid needs very limited outside influences. So she's a very creative kiddo. This is true of many of the kids on the planet right now. Most of the kids, they're getting overwhelmed with TV. And even if you're not just TV, but the way we relate to kids, it's very fast paced. It's very, even kids' cartoons, they have, each screen comes in really quick and fast. And that's too much for the way their minds work, and they're still in a theta state. It's too much information too fast. But she's very, very aware of what goes on in the world around her. So I would just really limit what she's hearing and seeing. And she probably would like a back rub at night too. I think that would help her too. And then Stacy. Tried to disconnect the energy. I did Reiki and everything. That just blew my mind. It happened. That's how quickly things happen. So we had talked to Stacy earlier in the a few minutes back, and she was feeling her daughter's pain in the hands. She's a Reiki master. She knows how to do it. But even if you don't have a technique, just saying, I'm not going to do that anymore. Your higher self comes and says, good, we're not doing that program anymore. We're not pushing that button anymore. Stacy's able to feel it. So she actually felt like wow, I'm not doing that anymore. Right? So again, it's just, there is no wrong way to behave. It's being aware of what it is that we're doing. And the things that no longer serve us are going to come up. They're going to come up quickly. Terry, acceptance is hard for me now. I know I don't feel I'm progressing and possibly going backwards. I keep busy so I don't have to think. So acceptance is key. Acceptance is key. You have to accept what already is. Doesn't mean you agree with it or that you like it. So they're two different things. You have to accept what already is. Otherwise, you just keep going back into that mess. And you are progressing, Terry, but you have you're more comfortable not loving yourself than you are comfortable loving yourself. Right? And acceptance comes at times, perhaps acceptance comes at times when you feel like you're strong enough to handle it. Right? We talked about earlier how things will have to come, the shadow side, the dark stuff has to come through. Some of you know my background a little bit. And I've been on my healing journey really in depth for about 10 years. And part of that healing journey was an awareness that I was sexually abused as a kiddo, as an infant. And it was hard to comprehend. Took me some time to accept it. Took some bravery, right? To just be in that moment. But it made a lot of sense to me. It made a lot of sense for my behaviors. Made a lot of sense for the way I reacted to things. And I got to the point where I was so grateful that I didn't have awareness earlier. And this is what I mean about acceptance comes when you're strong enough for it and when you can handle it. Because if I had had an awareness earlier in my life, when again, there's never wrong timing. But for me personally, and I'm just trying to make this relatable so it makes sense to you guys, so maybe you can attach it to something in your life where you wonder why we didn't understand something earlier. It's because of the timing of what your soul desires. So for me, if I'd have had that experience, that awareness when my children were little, they would have been raised very differently. I would have been a different mom. I would have been working on my stuff then. That wasn't my desire. My desire was my kids get the best, to the best of my ability, they get the best childhood I could give them. If I was working through all my stuff and going through the shock and the anger and the grief, right? That would not have matched what I wanted to create. Gave myself some space and time, started working on myself. Then it was like, it actually was okay. Not that it wasn't tough, not that it was hard, but it was like, this is okay to accept this. This happened. Because this happened, I've now behaved in certain ways that I choose not to behave anymore. So awareness is your gift. Awareness is your gift. Bringing things out into the open is your gift. Accepting what is your gift. What you do with what you've discovered is your choice. You are strong enough, you are brave enough to look things in the face. You all have a great capacity to love. And now it's time, for some, it's time to turn that capacity into yourself. And maybe you just start with, I forgive myself. I forgive myself with love. So Terry, or anyone else that's having a hard time with acceptance, break it down. What is so hard to accept? Right? I mean, some things are just a fact. I may not like an oak tree, but if it's on my property, I mean, that's not a good thing. Right. I may not like something, but if it's right in front of my face, it is. It just is. You can't change it. I may not like being 5'9". Maybe I want to be 5. That's probably a better example. I may not want to be 5'9". I'm not 5'4". I'm not 6'3". I am what I am. I can go try and get a stretching machine, make myself taller. I can have knee surgery to make myself shorter. Neither one's very possible, and neither one are anything I want to invest my time and energy into. I am what I am. Okay, we're gonna move on from that. If anybody else has any questions about acceptance, please bring it up. Yeah, so like I said, a lot of empaths on here. A lot of empaths. Hi, honey. That's been a great way to relate to the world. And being an empath is how you in a sneaky way, it's how to not be responsible for yourself. If I'm overwhelmed with someone else is doing, if I'm feeling everything else, and I don't, it's one way to not be responsible for yourself, but it's also a great distraction, right? So if I'm feeling everybody's stuff, if I'm getting tummy aches because somebody else is getting a tummy ache, if I'm crying because someone else is crying, if I'm crying because someone else is crying, that in a way, it can absolve your responsibility of what your truth is. And again, we're still in duality. We're going beyond duality, so there will be two truths to the same experience, right? So one may ring true, one may not. And we have, for the same experiences, we have multiple perceptions and multiple outcomes. So again, listen to what I'm telling you and see if it makes sense to you. See if this is the right time for you to do some of the things we're talking about. Yeah, and Terry, I want to remind you, honey, you are one of the strongest, bravest people I know. You just don't see it in yourself. Start looking in the mirror, Terry, and just tell yourself, I am brave. I am. I bet if you really gave yourself time, you could sit down within 10 minutes and you could list 10 things that you were very brave about. You didn't think you could do. And then how long will this virus go on? Last year, before I even knew what it was, I figured until about August. But the actual virus, and by that I mean kind of a shutdown, keeping us in place. The virus isn't really going anywhere because it's a virus. It circulates. It's like any other virus. It's part of our environment right now. But your real question is, how do we eliminate the problems of the virus, right? It's raising your consciousness. It's raising your vibration. It's allowing others to clear their stuff. It's allowing others to be with love, right? It's allowing others to be wrong. It's allowing others to go into blame and shame and anger. The more you hold the place of peace and love and kindness, compassion, the quicker the density in this planet, this earth field is eliminated. And it is going by leaps and bounds, the consciousness of this planet. I know it doesn't always feel like that. And it may, you know what? It's a little hard to read, Laura, because it's on a wave. It goes in and out like this. It goes in and out. But it is attached to how we are relating to what's going on. And the whole, since the very beginning, this virus needs to kind of keep people in place for a while, for 3 to 6 months, if not more. We're challenged now because I don't want to say that. It needs to play out as long as it does, because certain things need to change, right? We personally don't change a belief system or a lifestyle or a habit we have for about 90 to 120 days. We are actually breaking down systems that don't work. We're tweaking ones that work pretty good and could use a little assistance. In order for that to happen, it needs time. It needs time. So we may feels like things kind of clear up a little bit, and then may take another dive again, because just as it is on the individual, when you're doing clearing work, healing work, bringing out what no longer works in your life, it's exhausting to do it all in one fell swoop, right? And we are in a different consciousness, so it's quicker, right? And again, I'll use extreme examples because I just think I'll just use extreme. So someone who's been raped, right? They can get healing, and they can get to the point of acceptance. They can get to point, and this is a stretch, right, for most people, but you can even get to the point where you have compassion for the person, love for the person, gratitude for their experience, right? That doesn't happen overnight. And it certainly doesn't happen without a break. So we're going to have this, I feel like we're in the first wave, and try not to read too much into it, because again, things change literally on a daily basis. But if you look at the bigger collective consciousness, the fear has to come out. Fear is a really low vibration, and many, many people are in fear. And that's exactly what we want. I'm choosing my words carefully. We want the fear transformed, right? And this virus was a really impactful way to bring fear to the forefront and to let people get it out of themselves and get it out on a global stage. And it also creates unity. So I don't know if that really answered your question, Laura. Each state's doing a little bit differently. But it looks like we're going to get and I'm just looking kind of at the whole United States. it's going to kind of rise a little bit till about August, then it's going to peak off. We may see an increase around November again. May. Everything's a May right now because it is all dependent on our collective consciousness, which goes back to Denise had asked her there, how do we change the collective consciousness? How does what we do affect the rest of the world? So the more we do our stuff, and the more we stay in that piece of non-judgment, compassion, and love, which can be difficult at times, to say the least, that's how we change it. And this virus would not even be able to be the transformative mechanism it is right now if we weren't at a higher consciousness. Couldn't have done it 20 years ago. Couldn't have done it 5 years ago. We would not have been in a place that we could handle it. We would not be in a place where the denser energies were still kind of ruling the planet, I guess would be a good way to say it. That it's serving a greater purpose. So again, I want to reiterate that this pandemic serves the greater good. It's stretching your imagination a little bit. I understand that. But again, I want to go back to what we talked about in the very, very beginning, is what is it that you no longer want to tolerate? What is it that no longer serves you? Right? And then those systems, those things are going to will start to be exposed and eliminated. Right, Andy? Very grateful for this virus. It's doing it's offering us an opportunity to create more love. Right? And you've seen it. You've seen people be more compassionate, more loving, more kind, and more generous. You've also seen the opposite. But for the most part, we've not seen rioting. We've not seen, we haven't seen horrible things that could come out of this. We've seen people pulling together. We've seen people blaming one another for following the rules, not following the rules, or acting fast enough or not acting fast enough. But that's all part of the bringing things to the surface. So I have to remind myself, when I see that happening, I have to give it tremendous gratitude that the person who's losing their shit, God, how brave they are. How brave you are to allow it to come forward, to clean it. Right? But then they need to choose, is this how I'm going to keep it? Is this the most responsible thing to do, is keep blaming everybody else? Or am I brave enough to look at what's going on inside of me? Why do I feel the need to blame somebody else? Why do I need, where in myself do I not feel safe? That fear can be my overriding emotion at this time. Okay. And if we don't have any other questions, any way I can help you, it's time to hang it up tonight. But I just wanted to let you know that we are bringing things into light. Things can't grow in the shadow. We have so much love. We have so much encouragement, so much support. Again, every time I look at this virus, if I go really deep into it, it's just peaceful and calm. Today was actually exciting because this was a tough week. This was a tough week and we made it through it. So again, my love to all of you, my tremendous gratitude to all of you. And I believe in every single one of you. Thanks. I will be back when I get the hit. Good night, everyone.